I'm so glad you reminded me of my great experiences in an intensive ward a couple years back. I saw this shit firsthand. Recovering from OD, nighttime, 4 more people in our room, all hooked up to machines. I don't know if it's instinct, but all of a sudden, my heart started pounding like something was after me. Then, could make out footsteps from the hall. Paranoid as fuck for some reason. Nurse walks in, slowly scans the room. Pretend to be asleep. Heart monitor over 9,000. Walks to the other end of the room. An elderly lady, completely senile. The whole waking day before, she would just laugh in the most horrific manner possible. Almost like she was possessed. Senile people are fun that way. Kept alive via oxygen support, which would make her giggle even more. Okay, tangent over. Back to original story. The nurse walks over to her bedside. A few seconds pass by. All of a sudden, her heart monitor stops. He unhooks her support systems. Wheels her out. My heart's pounding like Podesta with a 5-year-old at this point. Think, what the fuck? Always felt something sinister about hospitals. Realize all my fears had a basis. Half an hour passes. I drift back to sleep. They wake me before dawn and move me to another room because, I don't know. Fuck. I still get emotional when I think about that. This one happened to my father. Not exactly paranormal, but 100% scary. B-Dad, 1980s. Get in a car accident. Multiple broken bones, fucked up spine, he's got scoliosis now, a skull fracture, and ruptured lung. Another organ was fucked, I can't remember what. Has to go under the knife. Doctors trying to save him. Looks like he isn't gonna make it. Apparently he was paralyzed, but he could still hear them, but not see. Doctors start talking about organ transplant for the boss. Doctors begin to cut him open while he's conscious, but paralyzed. One doctor begins to argue that this man could easily be saved and what they're doing is wrong. Argument ensues. Second time this month. Boss needs another. You fucking do it then. Gets sewn back up. Lives. He says he was slipping in and out of consciousness through the whole thing. Vehemently states they were trying to take his organs on behalf of the boss while he was conscious. Needless to say, he is paranoid about surgery. Some children's hospital not far from me, for children with serious illnesses and problems that they're unlikely to survive. For decades, grieving parents make accusations that the kids are basically being killed for their organs, and the ones who die naturally are having their organs taken from them. Hospital completely denies this and says the high death rate is because the children have serious issues, and that's why they're there in the first place. About 15 years ago, one set of parents bring this all up again because they requested the body to be buried, but instead, the hospital cremated the body without their consent, and just gave them an urn full of ashes. They explained they started that process a few years earlier because it was too heartbreaking for the families to receive the full bodies, and it was easier if they were cremated beforehand. But the parents claim it's so there's no proof that any of the organs were taken. Eventually, they get in touch with the other parents who did receive bodies. It wasn't like the bodies were in a body bag. They were already in sealed coffins, ready to be buried, when they gave them to the parents. More than a few have the coffins exhumed and opened. Totally empty, except for some baby clothes and scrap metal to act as weight. No sign of body at all. No bones. Nothing. One family empties their urn and finds unironic cigarette butts among the ash. Whole place gets raided and people start getting sentenced. One of the top doctors/surgeons who'd been there for like 30 plus years comes clean, admits they took the organs. Refuses to answer if any kids were murdered. Refuses to answer what they did with organs. Turns out, they didn't even have a crematoria. Dig up the grounds and there's literally thousands of children's bodies. Doctor/surgeon agrees to explain everything that happened in return for a sentence reduction afterwards. CPS agrees. Hangs himself 2 days later. Don't have a screen cap, but I have the text. It's not my story. B11, Scott friend, in rural/suburban south side of Glasgow. Me and 3 other friends playing near a forest/field boundary. Drain planted on the border trench of the field. First time we had ever seen it open. Friends dare me to go down. I say I'll go if someone else goes first. The joker of the group, my best friend to this day, agrees to go first. He climbs down the rusty-ass ladder. I follow him. Start to hear shit splashing about at the bottom of the drain. Friend stops climbing down. Freezes stiff.
What's up, P? Get the fuck back up now, S.
Okay, fuck. Start climbing up like a motherfucker, still hearing splashing. Friend is moaning and too terrified to make sense, but I get that he is telling me to hurry the fuck up. Get too curious and peek down the hole. Can see what I think was a pale shape that had limbs that were pretty fucking long. And a face. It might have been a paw/hand or a claw that looked surreal. Nope.png. Dark as fuck. Not sure what I saw. Get to the top. Friend is convulsing with tears and terror. Insists we cover the drain back up instantly. We try for maybe 10 minutes, but our shit-tier 11-year-old arms aren't strong enough to move the cover. Friend doesn't stop sobbing and shaking the whole time. Splashing stopped once we got to the surface again. We all go home, and for some reason, we don't talk about it. Next time we meet, still don't talk about it. Elephant in the room.jpg. Third time we meet, I ask P what he saw. Doesn't answer me. Still in shock, I suppose. Fast forward till we're 16. Me and P still best buds. I eventually ask him what he saw, assuming he would be more mature now. Tells me it was shaped like a child, but with a fucked up face and really long limbs. Said the face had eyes that weren't aligned and a slit for a mouth. No paws or claws, I asked him, so must have been hands. Said it stared at him the whole time we were climbing back up and was splashing and motioning towards the bottom of the drain. Said he felt like a part of him wanted to go down and play with it. I got freaked out at this point and asked to stop talking about it. We still talk about it sometimes when we're drunk and alone. Alright, I got some OC for you. Little preface though. I've lived in the former coal mining town of all of my life, basically so far. The town is pretty big. It's a whole county actually, but only out of the town was the mining business big. Mostly in town, all you get is a military training camp, farming, and sports. County fair too, but whatever. So most of the old mine shafts that were started and ended shortly after they were made were mostly filled up so no one could get in there. GeoCaching got real popular a couple years ago, and there were a bunch of these mine shafts that were locations for them, so people would go there, get to cache, leave something, and then leave. Not too big of an issue. It was always warm near the mine shafts, so snow would melt slowly near the front of them, making them great for year-round geocaching. Now, we start the story. Me, 3 friends, and one of their girlfriends all get kinda drunk in the afternoon after our senior year. We'll call the friends A, B, C, and GF. So GF is a big hiker and is very fit, loves to geocache. Her boyfriend C is into local history like a dork, so they seem fit for each other with geocaching. C wants to go to one of the bigger, more remote mine shafts, just for shits and giggles. GF agrees. Me being the mother hen, which meant I was only lightly buzzed, drove them all out there. B was having fun with it, so he brought a few of his hunting guns, which ranged from rifles to shotguns and a few pistols. I jokingly took a shotgun from him and said Evil Dead quotes the whole time. No one else takes a gun, and I'm autistic enough to keep it in my hands as we go along. When we got there, it was kinda warm out, which felt good since it was getting dark and colder. I would have said it was about 8 p.m., and since it was June, it was just light out. GF and C say how there's a metal gate on the front of the mine, like how you'd see one on a storage room thing, and it looked new. C says this isn't normal for mines, or at least he thinks so. GF suggests that they're finally putting another layer onto the front of the mine, since people were getting into them. It had a star logo with a circle around it, like it was a cheesy government movie. B gets cocky and tries to jank up the metal door by its small handle. He, in turn, yelps in pain as he pulls his hand back. Apparently, the metal door was so hot it was hard to move your hand towards it. We all just assumed it was some kind of fumes from the cave, heating up the door like a frying pan. I threw a large stick at the door, and it started burning up really quick, after it hit the metal door with a loud bang. The fire was blue. Like blue, as if it was a giant pilot light, just coming off of a stick thrown at a hot-as-fuck door. We all thought it was fucking weird as hell, so we threw more sticks at it, and got a small fire going of blue and greenish hues. C thought it might have been a gas from the cave doing it, but he didn't really care. As our fire was going, it was beginning to get dark. So we were going to head out and back home. Then, we heard a loud metallic creaking noise. It sounded something out of a video game with how it just sounded so strong, yet fizzled out so quickly. The metal gate fell off of its hinges and onto the ground, crushing the blue fire really quick. We looked inside of the mineshaft that was there, GF using her phone sort of as binoculars, which caused her to scream and get into the car. I looked in the mine among the blue fire and saw this blob, tannish grayed skin being illuminated by the fire, so it just seemed to be a bright blue. It was shiny, like stone, but leathery in different areas. There were like 7 faces we could see, and the bottom ones rubbed red from the movement. We slowly noticed it had actually been moving closer, so B decided to start shooting at it without even worrying about anything. We could hear the thing in there start coughing and hacking. It's breathing hard and strained with some small bits of black liquid coming out of it from the looks of the lighting. I took up the job of shooting off my grand total of 2 shots in the gun, attempting to reload but then giving up and just jumping in the car with A, B, C, and GF. All of us get really jumpy during the ride home, but we all calm down and start thinking we're badasses. We eventually realized we most likely uncovered some weird-ass bullshit in the middle of the woods, like we were a group out of a horror movie. Try not to speak of it again. Everyone else moved or tried to move out of the town after. GF and C left together. A went to college and B has pretty much given up on hunting and only shoots into range. I tried looking the mine up long after this and literally only found it on an old map of the town from the late 1890s from some site that sells maps. Tried looking for it again only to find that the site was taken down. Looked up the public city hall records about mines, find it on there, save it, and later on, it's removed, saying that this document doesn't exist. Basically, I was in your standard group of friends find a creepy creature and now there's no trace of it. Be me, about a decade ago, give or take, visiting Yeo House National Historic Site, pick related, Prince Edward Island, Canada. Go on a guided tour. We enter through a ground floor kitchen, tour guide talking about the history of the site. Suddenly, spiel interrupted by door, the one leading further into the house, slowly creaking open and slamming shut with a force, like a cannon shot. Now this door was solid oak, 2 inches thick bare minimum, and heavy as hell. Tour guide, jokingly,
"Oh, that's just our resident ghost. We call him the man upstairs."
Tour goes on, time passes, watching a display of spinning wheels, and I'm bored as all hell. Decide to leave tour group and explore house on my own. Find narrow stairwell blocked off with employees only sign. Fuck it. Climb under rope, upstairs. Short hallway with a few rooms. Second staircase at the end, much steeper, closer to a ladder with a handrail. Climb that. Find self and tower room, visible and pick related. Freezing cold in there, despite it being 30 degrees Celsius weather outside. Literally empty except for a bunch of dead flies. Turn around and head back down steep staircase. Halfway down, hear whooshing noise. Force pushes me at the base of my back. Thank God for that handrail, or else I would have gone head over heels down that shit, and probably snap my neck. Nope out of that floor and rejoin tour group. Later still, walk past employee lounge, 2 staff members in period dress, drinking coffee and chatting. I overhear snippet of conversation.
The man upstairs seems particularly angry over the last hour. You didn't go upstairs, did you?
Nope. 4 years later, aimlessly browsing internet. Find Yeo House on a list of reportedly haunted sites in Canada. Retroactive infinite nope.wmv. I'm still fucked up from this. I never told anyone, and I'm still spooked by it. A few years ago, decided to stay overnight at a friend's house. Both took off so we could smoke and play video all night. I didn't have any weed, but friend told me a few days ago not to worry about it. Get to his house. He fucking smoked all of it. No problem, I'll call our guy so we can get some before we start. Dealer is out of town. Friend asks if I've ever tried hash. Say no, but I'm open to anything. Friend tells me he knows a guy who knows of a guy who sells really good hash. First calls his guy to get the dealer's number. Calls the dealer. Hear friend yelling,
What? Where?
etc. over and over again. Ask him what the deal was when he hangs up. Really staticky, and the guy had a quiet voice. We live in rural PA, so don't really think of it. Friend says the guy lives pretty far, approximately 30 minutes, but we're willing to travel to make this night work. Get into my car and head for this guy's house. Starting to get really dark. It's 8 or 9 p.m. and in the middle of winter. Pull up to this dude's house. It's a fucking log cabin in the middle of the woods on a dark winter night in rural PA. Fuck that. Tell my friend that I want to go back. We don't really need the hash to have fun. Friend is obviously creeped out but tries to act hard. Insists that we already wasted time and the gas to come this far. He talks me into it. Leave the keys in the ignition and the door's unlocked even though I never do because who the fuck is gonna steal our car out here? Walk up to the door with friend. Standing there for a few seconds. Tell him to knock on the fucking door already because this was his idea. Knock, knock, knock. No lights on in the cabin. Hear this dude's boots on the hardwood floor. Door opens. The guy has a knife and fucking lunges at my friend. This guy is a mountain. Friend dodges the knife and punches him right in the nose, which stops him in his tracks.
Fucking run!
Book it to the car, lock the doors, and step on the gas. Don't look back. After 10 minutes, notice friend is nursing a decently sized cut from when he, mostly, dodged a knife. Friend notices me looking at him and murmurs something. I tell him to speak up. Friend asks,
Who the fuck was he?
He was the hash-slinging slasher.